Peace and greetings. This is Ras Timotheos Ben Israel, High Priest of the Temple Divine, Holy Temple of Yah. I'm here to present to you some documentary information. I'm the head CEO, High Priest of this said temple, and I wish to share with you guys some key principles about our principles in faith. So, the nature of the temple divine is that we are priests or priestess of Yah, and Yah is the divine mind. Yah is the representation of what modern day people call God. And it deals with all religious backgrounds, involves the indigenous nations of people around the world. It involves meditation, religious rites, and spiritual practice. We also have dietary law. We eat specific dietary things. We have specific dietary practices, and some key central figures are Yah, the divine mind. So the Temple Divine is also known as a university of specifically metaphysical science, the metaphysical sciences of the universe. Key scriptures are dealing with metaphysical interpretation of the Biblos Helios, or the Bible, the Bhagavad Gita, the Al-Quran, and also the Taoist Book of Changes, Tao, the Kabbalah systems, and all other ancient religious, spiritual mythos and legends of old and of new. Other accepted texts written by founder Ras Timotheos Ben Israel, that is I. We also have other scriptures that we may use to add on to our spiritual endeavors. The priests of the Temple Divine must claim their nationality as human beings, belonging to nations. Under international customary law, we practice these practices according to our faith. So the priests of the Temple Divine are claiming indigenous inherited nations of the world. These indigenous nations are mentioned within many religious and spiritual books, including the Bible, specifically known as the Israelites. They are of the indigenous tribes of men and women, children of Yah, ambassadors of the divine mind. The natural status of these priests of the Temple Divine are Native Original American Hebrew Israelite of the nation of Israel. They also are called Moors in some definitions as well. So most of the priests of North America are American nationals and claim their inheritance of their forefathers and foremothers, land, as well as religious and spiritual rights. So our tribal banner is red, gold, red, and a 5-pointed star. All of these have meanings. The red meaning the blood of the ancestors. Gold is the light of Yah, or enlightenment, gnosis, the inner knowledge, the inner spiritual knowledge, and green, the growth and prosperity of the nation and tribes as high priests and divine inherited rights protected, and we grow under, being, the divine elements of Yah. So that's represented by the 5-pointed star: fire, water, earth, air, and Yah, the divine mind, spirit. So this is what I'd like to document. There'll be more videos coming. So yeah, peace. Peace and greetings, everyone. This is Ras Timotheos, High Priest of the Temple of Divine, and this is part 2 to the video, first part of the video, where we left off when we were speaking about the flag. Let's get to it. Recap. Okay, so I just inserted this photo of our flag so you guys can get a representation of what the flag of the nation of Israel, this particular tribe. Okay.
Malek Hawanam, Divine Mind, Supreme Consciousness of the Universe, Divine Father of Wisdom, Knowledge, and Understanding, Divine Mother of Peace, Love, and Unity, Divine Mind, Yah, my protector, my guide, my protector, my guide. Holy is the creator of the universe, and peace to his creation. Amen. Ruk, Ruk.
In this particular slide, wanted to document partaking of the sacrament.
Malek Hawanam, Divine Mind, Supreme Consciousness of the Universe, Divine Father of Wisdom, Knowledge, and Understanding.
So the second slide we have here, speaking on meditation in the sacrament. So atonement, meaning at one-ment, or the process and action of becoming at one with Yah, Divine Mind of the universe, the God indwelling. Salvation is the process by which man and woman know and express the mind of Yah, gained through gnosis, spiritual esoteric awareness or knowledge of self. Then we have meditation, which is a practice by which the priests focus their minds on Yah indwelling, supreme consciousness. And we have first-hand religious spiritual experiences. Check out this video I made speaking particularly on this subject of meditation and the sacrament.
Prayer, meditation, and the use of the Holy Sacrament is used to create a route of communication or communion between Yah and man, and takes place within the innermost part of man and woman's being. And so according to the Temple of Divine, this allows us to affirm the truth of Yah as well as the only true way to heal and restore or purify the consciousness of the priest. And according to the Temple of Divine, meditation, prayer, and observance of the Holy Sacrament of cannabis is deemed a critical factor to the faith and worship of the Temple of Divine. It is a fundamental religious experience that makes up the Temple of Divine. And since they are practices which are deemed critical for the priest to attain salvation, it must be customarily sought out and attained. And the sacrament is used, like I said before, as a route of communion, of communication, a route of attainment at one-ment between man and Yah.
So here on the next slide, we have the 7 principles of meditation and partaking in the sacrament. So the first is Yah should be recognized as divine mind indwelling. The second, oneness, atonement with Yah or divine mind should be acknowledged. 3, meditation in the sacrament must be made within the secret place within with Yah. 4, the door of the mind must be closed to all outer material and non-spiritual thoughts. Still the senses and the mind by closing it to exterior thoughts. 5, affirmation and atonement, and receiving of revelation and gnosis, spiritual knowledge and spiritual awareness. 6. The kingdom of Yah, higher self, the spiritual body, the soul, God consciousness, must be desired and sought out above all other things. And 7. The mind must let go of every error thought and material sense-conscious attachments, i.e. renunciation. So let's check out this video and see what Ras Timotheos Ben Israel has to say about this.
Ambassadors of Yah, those who use the cannabis prayer and meditation as routes of atonement with Yah, are based in the Temple of Divine Metaphysical Science of the Development of the Soul. We particularly deal with the 7 basic principles. And so there are 7 basic principles that the high priest of the Temple of Divine must follow according to these routes of communion, routes of atonement. And the 7 are oneness. The first one would be Yah, the higher self, the divine mind, should be recognized as the higher self, or recognized within oneself as the higher mind. The second one is oneness or atonement with Yah, or divine mind, should be acknowledged, i.e. through affirmation or prayer, mantra. So 3, prayer, meditation, and the sacrament must be made within the secret place within oneself with Yah indwelling. So the 4th one would be the door must be closed on all thoughts and interests of the outer world or outer thoughts. And one must still the senses and the mind by closing the mind to exterior materialistic thoughts and ideas, closing one's rational mind and opening one's superconscious mind. So the 5th principle of meditation and prayer and the use of the sacrament is belief and affirmation that one has received gnosis or spiritual understanding, spiritual wisdom, spiritual knowledge and awareness, the spiritual state of consciousness, spiritual truth through one's actions, i.e. meditation, prayer, and the sacrament. The sixth principle would be the kingdom of Yah, the higher self, the spiritual body must be desired above all things and sought out first, mentally, physically, spiritually, and emotionally. And the 7th principle, is the mind must let go of every unforgiving thought which is not in tune with the laws of Yah, or the laws of righteousness, right thoughts, i.e. renunciation. So these are the 7 principles of partaking of the sacrament.
So that was the 7 principles of meditation and partaking of the sacrament. Let's skip to the next slide. Salvation and the metaphysical science of the development of the soul. So salvation is based on the development of the spiritual awareness or God consciousness of man, which is known as the soul. By attaining gnosis, spiritual states of consciousness, man receives atonement with Yah, allowing man to develop the spiritual faculties and ultimately spiritual self-transformation. Salvation is based on gaining metaphysical knowledge of self, or gaining that God consciousness or that God indwelling awareness through experience. Salvation is another name for enlightenment, gaining the full esoteric knowledge of self, i.e. full spiritual transformation. Let's see what Ras Timotheos has to say.
Salvation is attained by learning the secret knowledge of self, learning the esoteric knowledge of self, their spiritual essence, the metaphysical science of the development of the soul. And this is first-hand experience, not second-hand experience, and not from reading from a book attain salvation or attain this esoteric knowledge, also known as enlightenment. And this realization is brought forth through the activation of the spiritual consciousness, and usually through acts of worship, meditation, prayer, and the use of cannabis as a sacrament. And these acts, which allow the priest to constantly realize, or the constant realization of the divine mind within themselves and within nature. So that is probably the most fundamental part of the Temple Divine, is allowing our consciousness, or allowing ourselves to constantly realize and be in atonement or at one with the divine mind within ourselves and within nature.
Okay, so with that understanding, let's skip to the next slide. Eating of the body of Yah.
Adonai, Elohim, Melech Haolam, divine mind, supreme consciousness.
So the eating of the body of Yah is the partaking of the sacrament. Sacrament meaning sacred or holy and set apart, from the ordinary, linear, non-spiritual, materialistic mind. So when one eats of the body of Yah or partakes in the sacrament, they are doing so under the holy order, or the order of setting things apart, that which is spiritual from that which is materialistic. And so the priest partaking in the body of Yah allows him or her to go within and perceive and realize the atonement with Yah. And so the eating of the body of Yah is the eating of spiritual thoughts which directly relate him or her to Yah, or the divine mind. Next slide. The metaphysical science of the temple.
Deals with the processes and the actions and the thought forms that have to do with the state of consciousness, which relates man and woman to their higher selves, or the higher state of being. So the metaphysical science taught by the Temple of Divine and understood by the priests of the Temple of Divine undergo and are based on practices of consciousness and the development of consciousness, and specifically the awakening of the mind to the spiritual aspect, specifically the mind, the state of mind that relates man to Yah, the Creator, the spiritual essence in things, the life force, mind to things. And so the development of the soul, the metaphysical development of the soul, deals with consciousness going beyond ordinary linear physical states of consciousness, dwelling into the awareness of man, one with Yah, the Creator, the divine mind.
Yes, sir. So that's Ras Timotheos speaking about the holy orders of the Temple Divine and the metaphysical science that follows. In this last clip, I just would like to share, the prayer and meditation. Divine Mind, Supreme Consciousness, Yah, Divine Father of Wisdom, Knowledge, and Understanding, Divine Mother of Peace, Love, and Unity, Divine Mind, Yah, my Protector and Guide to true salvation. Holy is the Creator, and peace to all creation. Amen.
Rukata, 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 Adonai, Elohim, Melech Haolam, divine mind, supreme consciousness of the universe, my guide to true salvation. Peace and blessings. Luke.
Peace and greetings, everyone. This is Ras Timotheos, High Priest of the Temple of Divine. I have another presentation for you guys. Here you go. Let's start. Hope you guys enjoy and learn something. So today's subject is cannabis as sacrament. Religious use of cannabis. Temple of Divine, Holy Temple of Yah, the Metaphysical University of the Spiritual Science. Ambassador Ras Timotheos Ben Israel. So, cannabis has many recorded uses over the past 5,000 years of written history. It is used throughout the world by many religious groups who identify it as a sacrament. It's described by its users, current and past, who agree that it has fundamental spiritual capabilities. Cannabis is an entheogenic plant out of northeastern Africa and Central Asia, and is used as a sacrament by the ancient Moabites and Israelites out of ancient Kush and modern-day Ethiopia, as well as Native Americans in the Americas through trade routes from Asia to the Americas. Next slide. A sacrament. Sacrament, the etymology of the word sacred, to be deemed as sacred or holy, and sacrifice, giving up sense consciousness in return for spiritual consciousness. Holy meaning to be set apart, to set apart from that which is unholy or not sacred. So sacred versus mundane. If something is holy, then is referred to as set apart for religious and spiritual purposes, rites and ceremony, religious rituals, and differs between ordinary mundane object, person, action, or place. Cannabis as sacrament means specifically that it is set apart from recreation and medicinal and involves religious rites and ceremonies, that which is deemed sacred or holy. So, to understand cannabis as a sacrament, according to the Temple of Divine in our spiritual practices, you must understand one's spiritual plight. So, to understand cannabis as a sacrament, one must understand the spiritual plight expressed by Ras Timotheos of the Temple of Divine. Man upon creation is a perfect, spiritual, pure man, i.e., incorporeal, living soul, the first movement of the mind in its contact with the life force, energy, and divine thought, represented as Adam and Eve in the Bible. This perfect spiritual man represents man and woman's spiritual illumination and oneness with Yah, the divine mind, the pure spiritual God consciousness, Yah consciousness. So man then develops into physicality. This is known as the fall of man, which is due to his taking on ignorant thinking and sense consciousness, i.e. sin. Due to man's fall, he begins eating things ungodly and eventually fell away from spiritual life, fell away from God consciousness, spiritual awareness of self and the environment. So that is man's current situation as we speak. So the fall of man in the spiritual plight. Man fell due to eating of things ungodly or partaking of things which are deemed to be unholy. And man fell from a higher state of consciousness to a lower state of consciousness into being. And he took upon sin, ignorance, through sense consciousness, thought, and attachment. Man now fall victim to thought and belief, usually of the rational linear sense conscious mind, that they are nothing but physical material things, and have attached their consciousness to things of this world, and forgetting about their divine spark, i.e., the divine mind indwelling, Yah indwelling. So the rise of man in his spiritual plight. Man must make covenant with Yah, divine mind, supreme consciousness. Man must undo the ignorance with wisdom. This wisdom is not just knowledge one keeps in their heads at leisure. Rather, it is a type of knowing which goes beyond all rational knowing, sometimes called gnosis, revelation, enlightenment, intuition. Man must let go of his sense consciousness and sense perception and awaken his consciousness to the spiritual consciousness and spiritual perception. This is the ultimate understanding of cannabis, a sacrament according to the temple of divine. Cannabis and spiritual development. Man covenants with Yah, divine mind, and begins the process of spiritual self-development, or the redemption of man's inherent birthrights. This is dealing with a personal relationship with Yah indwelling in man and his consciousness. It's based on the development of spiritual senses. Cannabis allows the priest to develop the spiritual senses, giving up one's ordinary limited beliefs for the ultimate truth. Through cannabis being the sacrament which allows man to receive the spiritual and religious gnosis for the process of spiritual redemption back to his inherited birthright or his Edenic state. Cannabis in the scriptures. According to the temple divine, all key scriptures of the temple divine are referred to as spiritual roadmaps which leads to divine mind indwelling. Man must cultivate himself in the spirit and in the letter. The spirit is the esoteric studies and practices. The letter refers to the exoteric studies and practices. Cannabis allows man to cultivate his spiritual perception to the realm of the spirit, the esoteric awareness beyond the linear rational mind, which leads to RMEs, or religious mystical experiences. Cannabis and RMEs. There exists a hidden pattern or unseen principle of all principalities which exist throughout all cultures of the world. This hidden pattern and unseen principle is that which relates man and woman to the higher selves, Yah indwelling. Man and woman gain relationship with Yah indwelling and receives personal revelations through visions or higher thought forms. Cannabis, the entheogenic plant, causes one to reach a spiritual state of consciousness conducive to religious mystical experiences and allows man and woman to access and have direct contact with Yah through mind and through consciousness and perception. Through states of religious mystical experiences or gnosis, man can access hidden patterns or the unseen principle of all principalities of man's being and the ultimate universe, according to the metaphysical cosmogony. So gnosis is spiritual insight, or to see Yah within. Cannabis and renunciation. When man partakes of cannabis as a sacrament, he is able to repent, in other words, or change his mind towards Yah indwelling through affirming atonement with the divine mind and partaking of the sacrament. Renunciation is the letting go of the old sense consciousness, the sense conscious man, and giving up the flesh mind for the spiritual religious quest of the indwelling kingdom of Yah in the inherited birthrights of man and woman. When man partakes of the sacrament, he repents and breaks with the mortal thoughts and ascends into the spiritual realm, i.e. the kingdom of Yah. This is the admission to Yah of all ignorance, the ignorance of separation, the ignorance of his divine inheritance. So the spiritual realization is that of spirit, which is the underlying principle to all things. There is no separation between mind, which is the underlying principle to all things. there is no separation between mind and thought, man and Yah, man indwelling. Cannabis allows man to change his mind towards Yah indwelling and give up his ignorance of self, letting go of the old man and taking upon the new spiritual man. The unification of mind, thought, in the one thought, or one mind, Yah, consciousness. Cannabis, a sacrament. Temple divine. Holy temple of Yah. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Divine mind, supreme consciousness of the universe. Divine Father of wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. Divine Mother of peace, love, and unity. Divine mind, supreme consciousness. Yah, my protector and my guide to true salvation. Holy is the Creator, and peace to His creations. Amen. Peace and greetings, everyone. This is Ras Timotheos, High Priest of the Temple Divine. This next clip I will be documenting is the science of metaphysics and theology according to the Temple Divine, Holy Temple of Yah, written by Ambassador Ras Timotheos Ben Israel. Let's begin. So, metaphysics deals with science. Science comes from the word ciencia, which means knowledge, or knowledge comes from the state of awareness or knowing, state of knowing. And so metaphysics is, if you break it down, would be meta and physics. Metaphysics, meta meaning beyond, and physics meaning physical, so beyond the physical nature of reality. Metaphysics and science deals with awareness, or the state of knowing, which extends beyond the physical nature of reality. So the state of awareness, the state of knowing, goes beyond our ordinary awareness or our ordinary knowledge, our ordinary science. So the Temple Divine bases its sciences from essential spiritual, metaphysical arts and practices. Next slide. Knowledge and awareness. Metaphysics deals with awareness, which is a product of the mind. The mind is all and everything in the universe is mental. If you guys have studied metaphysics or have heard of metaphysics before, this phrase is very popular, or man know thyself and thou shalt know the universe. That is another one. But let's continue. The mind is limited, or the mind is limitless, omnipresent, and omnipotent. The mind is psyche, breath, and spirit. If you break down the word and get the etymology of the word mind, you come to the word breath or spirit. And the mind and spirit are synonymous terms which comes from the word breath. Metaphysics deals with the art and knowledge of the spirit, mind, psyche, and awareness, or the awareness of the life in the mind, of the mind, and the breath is the life of the physical body, just to give you an example. So the awareness is the life of the mind, as the breath is the life of the physical body. Next slide. Mind in the universe, the metaphysical cosmogony. Metaphysical cosmogony deals with the knowledge and understanding of the development and the creation of the universe and its phenomena from the metaphysical standpoint. The physical universe is a product of the divine mind, Yah. To every action exists a thought. All physical things are a manifestation of an incorporeal, non-physical principle, i.e., mind and thought. Therefore, the universe, mind, and spirit are synonymous and are the same indivisible, complete, limitless, and omnipresent, omnipotent, and incorporeal principle of all principalities. The physical universe is a product of the creative thought carried out through the processes of the universal mind known as Yah, according to the Temple Divine. Mind in the universe. The metaphysical science therefore deals with the origin of all things in the cosmos and its cosmic patterns, and comes out of the one mind, which is inherent in all of its creations. The mind is the life force principle of all physical living things. All physical living things has an incorporeal dwelling psychical core, mental core, spiritual core. This spiritual metaphysical core in man's being is known as Yah, indwelling, according to the divine mind. It's the divine mind within, according to the Temple Divine. When man cultivates himself spiritually, he cultivates his awareness, his psyche, breath, mind. Man is the universe. Mind. Universe. Man is mind. Mind is the universe. Man and the universe are one, just as the divine mind of the universe and the divine man indwelling are one. Next slide. Incorporeal body, corporal body. Man and woman and all things have both a corporal body and incorporeal body. The corporal body is the dense physical body, and incorporeal body is the subtle spiritual body. One is energetic and the other is chemical. Mind, thought, and being, according to metaphysics. Man, universe is spirit, mind, and body. Light, sound, geometry. All physical things are a product of the mind and thought. The physical body is a representation of the spiritual body. These are key, important metaphysical concepts to understand, according to the Temple Divine. The physical body. Thoughts which have manifested in the physical mode of being, physical body, physical elements, realm of effects, expressed through the subconscious mind and the nervous system to the glands and then the bodily organs, based on habit and action, reaction, i.e. behavioral. So the physical body is behavioral. The incorporeal body is based on mind and thought. Spiritual metaphysical body. The metaphysical body is the causal realm. Again, the physical body is the realm of effects. So the spiritual metaphysical body is the causal realm. It is the energetic, emotional thought form in mind. It is the incorporeal body, the mental faculties, the conscious and superconscious mind, and connects to manifest the input of information to the nervous system and the body and its functions, behavior, and action and reaction. This is dealing with awareness, regular awareness, and heightened states of awareness, which leads to metaphysical states of consciousness. Metaphysical concepts. To every physical expression there exists a metaphysical spiritual counterpart of existence. Accessing this metaphysical realm, or the spiritual body, i.e. the kingdom of Yah indwelling, is directed by awareness, consciousness, a state of mind, perception. Experience is based on the mental filters, and which produces then the perceptive encoding, which then causes the creation of the bodily functions and behaviors. Our attention and focus during the experience, as well as the state of mind and perception, defines our relation to the world, end quote, incorporeal and corporeal, in which makes up our realities. What is real, in quotes, is either incorporeal or corporeal, i.e., metaphysical, spiritual, or physical, sense consciousness. Reality, in quotes, is based on the mind and thought, either spiritual or material. So these are basic metaphysical concepts to understand. Metaphysical practices. Cosmogony equals mind, thought, and the manifestation of thought, spirit, mind, and body. The cosmogony of man is spirit, mind, and body, and creates through this law of creative thought, just as the divine mind of the universe indwelling, indwelling, the inheritance, man's inheritance. Man must develop his consciousness, his mind, the metaphysical body, through his awareness. He must become aware of his spiritual body, the consciousness, the spiritual thoughts in his mind, and the spiritual nucleus, the metaphysical nature of being. By partaking in metaphysical practices, man develops his consciousness in relation to the metaphysical body, going beyond ordinary states of consciousness and limited physical perception and accessing the unlimited higher state of consciousness, or consciousness, the soul. The expression of consciousness is the metaphysical science, and the expression of awareness of self, the activation of God consciousness, and indwelling. Metaphysical interpretation of the scriptures. All things mentioned in religious and spiritual books has a deeper, more spiritual reflective meaning. Names of people, groups of people, places, locations, common actions, common mundane things, objects, animals, nature, and plants all carry a hidden and more profound meaning or esoteric metaphysical counterpart to that which is mentioned. The metaphysical interpretation is based on mind, thought, and being, and in religious scriptures pertains to divine mind, divine thought, and divine state of being, i.e. the creation and cultivation of awareness of man's mind to the awareness of spirit, or indwelling, the divine mind. So this is indwelling in the universe as well as within all living things, including himself, herself. So the esoteric sciences and interpretations are merely based on a level of initiation into the spiritual science, as well as the in-depthness of metaphysical comprehension, as well as first-hand religious mystical experiences. This leads to expanded awareness and understanding of the scriptures, which leads to divine revelation and ultimately salvation, divine esoteric knowledge of self, enlightenment, and moksha. Enlightenment, moksha, salvation, divine esoteric knowledge of self, all of these are the same principle, same truth, which we'll find out. The metaphysical agenda and studies of the temple. The metaphysical practices are based on accessing the spirit, the spiritual awareness, the metaphysical awakening of the self, and have first-hand personal experience with the divine mind, or indwelling. All priests are encouraged to do what works for them in their spiritual practices and should not limit themselves to just one book or one methodology. Metaphysics is about expansion of consciousness and perception, should be done for the sole purposes of spiritual knowledge of self. The practices should be done for experience while being humble to it and understanding. Knowledge of self, the indwelling principle, may change from culture to culture and context to context, but the substance always remains the same. The goal is to attain the esoteric knowledge of self, i.e. salvation, based on awareness of truth, or the absolute principle. The absolute exists within man, and he and she, man and woman, he and she must go within themselves and transform their awareness metaphysically to perceive the absolute principle. The mind expansion and enhanced spiritual metaphysical perception is conducive to awareness of the absolute principle of all principalities, the divine mind of the universe. And this is done by raising one's mind from the organic man to the Yah man indwelling, the unification between mind, thought, and being. Next slide. History. All spiritual and religious books are written to affirm the metaphysical nature of reality. Native indigenous peoples of the planets called them deities. Deities make up the elements of the spiritual body of man, man's inherent indwelling state of being, the unification of all sciences, mathematics, theology, philosophy, sociology, archaeology, technology, biology, chemistry, botany, etc. are all one science in metaphysics. The interpretation and the spiritual practices, along with expressive written manuals and archetypal patterns, are used for religious rites and spiritual practices to attain atonement with Yah indwelling. Peace.